Dr. Richard Raskin was the quintessential American male. By age 40, his remarkable resume included Yale graduate, nationally ranked tennis player, naval officer, physician, husband, and father. But all those years, he hid a secret desire, and what he did about it changed not only his life, but history.
I don't think I had any conscious thoughts about a wish to be a girl until I was about 9.
Where do you turn at that age, being a young man, having feelings of wanting to be a woman?
You don't turn anywhere. You think that you are the only person in the world who has these kind of feelings. I fought it until I couldn't fight it anymore, and then I eventuated into sex reassignment surgery and lived the second half of my life as a woman. All right, let me see what you need. -3.
Today, Renee Richards is 72 years old, a prominent ophthalmologist in Manhattan with a home 90 minutes north of the city. At age 41, 1 year after her sex change operation, Richards traded coasts, seeking anonymity. But tennis did her in, as she explained to CBS News in 1976.
Well, I moved to California, 3,000 miles from my home, and I gave up my practice, my professorship. I left my son back there to visit him only once a month. I left all my friends there to lead a private, anonymous life with a new name in California. And all that blew up in my face in La Jolla.
Her cover was blown by a reporter who saw her win a local women's tournament. After being outed as a transsexual, instead of running away from the tennis court, Renee Richards decided to break the rules. She returned to the championship tennis circuit as a woman. Tennis great Billie Jean King, who was at the top of her game at the time, heard the locker room protests.
The women were absolutely in an uproar and said she can't play, she's a guy. And so I called Renee and said, could I just come and meet you and I need to understand more and I don't understand. So I met her at a friend's and I listened to her story and listened to her feelings and her thoughts. I went, oh, she's extraordinary, a human being. And then I went to doctors in the medical field and said, well, is Renee a woman or not? They said, yes, she is. I said, that's all I have to know. So then I went back to the women and said, you guys, we have to let her play. It's the right thing to do.
But the United States Tennis Association ruled it was the wrong thing and barred Richards from the U.S. Open.
Not that I had any intention of playing in the U.S. Open, but when they told me that I couldn't, I said, well, I don't see why I shouldn't be allowed to. You know, I've become a woman. And then I got all this encouragement from people who were kind of disenfranchised themselves, minorities of all kinds. So there was a sexual minority or some black people, some Asian people. And they said, you know, we can't get what we think are our rights either, so you better go ahead and fight for all of us.
She fought and she won. And then, as quietly as a drop shot, Renee Richards returned to her medical practice and saving people's sight. She's been voted by colleagues one of the best ophthalmologists in New York City. Still competitive, she now plays golf. She has an 11 handicap.
I'm spending all my waking moments and some of my non-waking moments thinking about golf.
And Richards says she often reflects on how times have changed. But Renee Richards says it's not that simple.
A lot of stories in the recent years about a transsexual experience, they all end with the operation and then going off with Prince Charming on a pink cloud, and that's the end of the story. And it's not all a piece of cake. You don't just suddenly become a woman and then everything is wonderful thereafter.
She says there have been romances with men, but she now lives with her best friend, a woman. And Richards tries to stay close to her son, Nick.
I have a mother and I have a father, and whatever my father did, still my father.
He still calls Renee Dad.
My father and I are very much alike in that the worst thing that somebody can tell either of us is don't do something, because we'll do it. I like the fact that my father stood up for what he felt was right.
Renee Richards says she now has more serenity and more time to reflect about the sexual revolution she unwittingly led. Why not be a role model? Why not be the spokesperson?
My nature is not to be an activist. I'm too selfish for that.
But to some, like women's rights advocate Billie Jean King, Renee Richards is a trailblazer.
She's been very instrumental in people having courage. Whether she likes it or not, Renee's made a huge difference in this world.
I took the harder path. If there had been an alternative to that, I would have taken it, but it wasn't open to me. I didn't really have a choice of these two roads diverging. I was steered towards one and took it.